The Trump administration may want to make people disappear, those that make them uncomfortable, those that they see as a threat, like Judge Hannah Dugan in Wisconsin, or the case of Andre Hernandez Romero. Andre Hernandez Romero from West Hollywood in California, a makeup artist and a hairdresser who had an appointment for an asylum hearing that was completely overturned and refused by federal immigration officials. And he was sent to El Salvador along with Mr. Abrego Garcia. And it gets even worse, and that's why we can never forget him. We've got various state senators and representatives in Congress who are on this case to get back Mr. Hernandez Romero, including his loving community in West Hollywood. We're a loving community here on Legal AF as well. But I almost literally vomited when I watched Kristi Noem, our Homeland Security Secretary, being grilled and being asked the question, can you just confirm for the family and his mother that he's still alive? You have that ability at CCOT. Can you just tell a mother to a mother that he's still alive? And she refused. I'm Michael Popok. You're on Legal AF. Let's get to this sad tale that we need to keep a focus on, keep the spotlight on, in order to get him back. We've got judges around the country, including Judge Boasberg in the D.C. Circuit Court, who is considering certifying a class in order to get back the 250 people not named Abrego Garcia back from El Salvador who were sent there without any due process whatsoever. That is going on in the D.C. Circuit Court. He's conducting some more discovery, or ordered some more discovery to be conducted, and then he's going to make his ruling. And the issue has to do with who's got joint custody or control over that prison. It must be the United States. And Boasberg wants to get to the bottom of it, because if the United States has joint custody over the operation of the CCOT prison in El Salvador, then they certainly can get somebody back, including the 250. One of those 250, let's put a name to the plight. Andre Hernandez Romero, gay, makeup artist, and hairdresser. How do you think he's doing in CCOT? How do you think he's doing surrounded by others that have been accused by the Trump administration of being part of a narco-terrorist gang called Tren de Aragua? How do you think that's going for him? And so the sole reason he was sent there, street justice that was done for him, is they didn't like his tattoos. You know what his tattoos were? One said mom, one said dad. And if they did any research, which they didn't, federal officials, or those that they delegated it to, would have figured out that his hometown, that is a sign of love for his hometown, not a membership, doesn't demonstrate a membership in a gang. There's a reason, particularly a crown with mom and dad are so important to him. We'll put up a picture of him with that crown, and all of that. He left his home country of Venezuela after being targeted for his sexuality. They wouldn't let him. This is starting to sound familiar in this country. They wouldn't let him express his sexuality because it made other people uncomfortable in Venezuela, and he feared for his life. And now he's in CCOT in El Salvador after being accused wrongly of being a member of a Venezuelan gang. There's no credible evidence linking him to that gang ownership at all. We've got a number of people who have taken up the cause of Mr. Hernandez Romero. Margaret Cargioli, the directing attorney of policy and advocacy at the Immigrant Defenders Law Center and counsel for him, said the following: one of the greatest forms of torture that CCOT imposes is to cut people off from their loved ones. No visits, no contact, and no communication. For over 50 days, it's longer now. For over 50 days, Andre has been cut off from the outside world. LGBTQ plus rights matter. He's been disappeared to El Salvador. We won't stop until we bring him back. Now, that was the topic of a conversation with Kristi Noem. And Kristi Noem was interrogated and doing her best Cruella de Vil moment. She was interrogated by Representative Robert Garcia of California, who confronted him and said, remember, this is the same person who bragged about killing Cricket, her dog, because he was the weak link. He was the weak puppy in the litter, right? He was the runt of the litter. So he said to her, would you commit to just letting his mother know, as a mother to a mother, that he's alive? Simple question. She's been to CCOT. We'll show some pictures of that. She stood in front of that prison. She said it was one of the tools in her toolbox. Let's watch the clip.
Should be implemented.
Would you commit to just letting his mother know, as a mother to mother, if Andrew is alive? He was given an asylum appointment by the United States government. We gave him an appointment. We said, Andrew, come to the border at this time to claim asylum. He was taken to a foreign prison in El Salvador. His mother just wants to know if he is alive. Can we check and do a wellness check on him?
Our asylum applications are different than the granting of asylum, and I don't know the specifics of this individual case. This individual is in El Salvador, and the appeal would be best made to the president and to the government of El Salvador on this.
We've
this
made
is
that,
not under my jurisdiction.
Madam Secretary, you have said that CCOT in El Salvador is one of the tools in the toolbox that you have. You have said that and have been quoted as saying that. You and the president have the ability to check if Andrew is alive and if not being harmed. Would you commit at least into looking and asking El Salvador if he is alive?
This is a question that's best asked to the president and the government of El Salvador.
What is wrong with this Trump administration? They're depraved. They've lost sight of what it means to be an American. They've lost sight of what that American flag means. We here on Legal AF, the Midas Touch community, we don't want to live in a country where that's what our patriotism it means in the hands of the Trump administration. You can't even tell a mother to a mother, Marine to Marine, as we used to say. You can't say if the kid's dead or alive. How heartless. And when we finally get, whether it's Judge Boasberg or others, we finally get him through a writ of habeas corpus, which is what the Supreme Court ruled has to happen. And we get him before a federal judge here in America, all up to Judge Boasberg's decision-making in D.C., because this person in particular is part of that class that Judge Boasberg is getting his arms around. But there's a human dimension. He rots in a prison that he was disappeared into by the Trump administration in particular. And Garcia's office in particular wants to get to the bottom of who made the decision. Now, the Trump administration says, oh, we outsourced it. Oh, you outsourced it. That's interesting. Who'd you outsource it to? Some entity. Well, what's the training around this entity? Here's what Garcia said in his posting. He sent a letter to the Trump administration, and he said, look, it looks like the primary evidence is some sort of tattoos. He has 2 crown tattoos labeled mom and dad, which are common cultural symbols in his hometown. He wants to know about this core civic third-party private entity that was used and it did a law enforcement function, and about the company itself. Look, the employee who did the background check on this particular person, he himself was thrown off the force in Milwaukee. And so how is he qualified? His position was terminated with the Milwaukee Police Department because of misconduct. And he's the one making these decisions. So Garcia wants to know, what qualifications and training does Core Civic require of its employees? What are its protocols? How does it oversee and review decisions that are being made by its employees? What's the collaboration between Core Civic and ICE in making these decisions? And did ICE personnel independently review and approve the determination made by Core Civic employee Charles Cross Jr., identifying Hernandez Romero as falsely as a member of Tren de Aragua? And what was used for that? And then that led to the Christie Nome drill down. We can't lose sight of the Hernandez Romeros of the world because they are proxies for us. Today it's him. Tomorrow, it's you and me. You have a president who's out of control and lawless. Out of control and lawless. He says, I don't understand due process. I don't recognize due process. I don't think I have to give due process to people. Ripping the beating heart of the Fifth Amendment out of the Constitution. He's got his chief lawyer, who's not a lawyer, but plays one in the White House, Stephen Miller. He says a couple of days ago in the back of the White House, we're looking into suspending the writ of habeas corpus. We don't think people have that right under the Constitution. What is the world that we are living in under the Trump regime. We got to continue to stay together here and speak truth to each other. Take to the streets and resist. Take to the streets at the time to register to vote now. Make sure you register to vote. Take to the streets for the election at midterm. Make sure we block all the federal judges that Donald Trump is going to try to appoint. We haven't even talked about federal judge appointments because it really hasn't started yet. There hasn't been a vacancy, but there will be. As soon as they're done with their big, beautiful budget bill, they're going to start turning back to the federal courts, and we've got to be ready. And so we got to get control of the Senate to block those federal judges. They matter. Who's on the Supreme Court matters. Who's making the decisions about people like Hernandez Romero matter. And you matter to me. You're here on Legal AF and the Midas Touch Network. Take a minute, hit the free subscribe button, and I'll be back for new reporting here on Legal AF, on the Midas Touch Network on Legal AF, the podcast, Legal AF, the Substack. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.